All right, people are coming in, Jay. Second
Yeah.
second AI summit, man. How do you feel?
I feel pretty excited. Yeah, how about you?
I'm always excited about this, man. As you know, I'm like fanatically trying to figure out what's going on here the same way that you are. I'm overly obsessed with the idea that this thing is changing so quickly. So the having to do this every 6 months makes a lot of sense to me. And what's the latest thing in AI that you think is kind of like pinged for you?
Well, as you can tell, I have my antenna pointed up to the AI gods right now. I've been doing a lot of playing around with tools, but more importantly, looking we've come to the realization that um we have to become AI first leaders in our
Yeah.
company and what that means. Not using AI just as tools, but having a simple strategy to do it, transforming teams into problem solvers, using AI as a co-pilot, as a strategic partner, right? Which is kind of an unfamiliar term when you think about AI. But that's something we're going to be talking about today too. So, how about you, man?
Love it. Well, first of all, roll call, y'all. Who's here? Check in. We know that Southern States is happening. We got some speakers that are there that are here right now. Check in the chat. Make sure that you put everyone, put your name, where you're from, get a shout out. Um, yeah, I see what you're saying, man. You're talking about the AI driven leader book that you gave out to people, right? Like that's a lot of that good stuff. You got it on your desk too. I got it on my desk too. Right? I got it on my desk also. We
Right there.
tried
Okay.
we were this close to getting this guy to show up, and he big time me. So I guess we weren't that close. That being said, I don't know, man. I'm kind of curious about this whole like Google VO thing. Like those that came fast, right? Like last year, it was Will Smith looking like he was all melty in a video, and now it's like this stuff where you think that like people are talking to you and they're telling you about the prompt theory, and it feels like a new religious movement, and it's really freaking me out, man. Like well, I heard one marketer tell me unlimited imagination creation is the result of this thing, so that's pretty wild. Have you messed with that?
I haven't touched that yet, but I just finished watching the movie. I don't know if it's called The Mountaineers or something, but it's
Yeah.
the new movie with Steve Carell, and it's these leaders in business. And it's all about generative AI and how it's unregulated, and all of a sudden everybody thinks all of these deep fakes are actually real, and just created
Mm,
pandemonium throughout the world.
mm,
So
mm.
I've been watching that.
Sounds healthy for you. All right, everybody. We got over 140. We have 150 plus people here already. Let's kick this off. If y'all want to just highlight me, I'm going to start presenting. But first, I want to do a little roll call. Jason from Tampa is in the house. Libby from OKC in the house. Andrea from First Property Management, Chattanooga, Tennessee. Ray from Arlington, Virginia. Stacy Wilson from Orlando. Chris from Pensacola is here. My friend Brian Bean from Riverside, California. Zach from Fargo, North Dakota. Pete from Annapolis Property Services. Tiffany from Wyoming. Trevor from Bozeman. Beautiful place in the world. Stinger Home Management. No first name. Beaufort, South Carolina. Karen from Portland. Good to have you. David, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Elise, OKC. Tony Molina. I know like 10 Tony Molinas in Spanish in Miami, just for the record. But this guy's in Cleveland. So good to have you here, Tony. Aaron from Merced, California. Mary from Orlando. Anna Garcia from Merritt Island. That's another beautiful little place. Maggie from Colorado Springs. Emery from Seattle. Lillian. All right, Jay Collins, Largo. Okay, I'm gonna just be like calling people out this whole time. I'm gonna get into this presentation. So here is what I've been thinking about a ton, right? Like I've got this podcast and I've got this newsletter, and all I'm doing is talking to experts like Jay and everybody else and other property managers about kind of like what are the edges of what's happening in property management. I thought that talking to all these folks, everything that I've learned about disruption, I thought I had a pretty good idea about all this stuff. And I've got my own point of view, but something recently just happened. And that is, I don't know if y'all saw this, but these three high profile CEOs released three different memos about their AI strategy. It's Tobias from Shopify, Luis from Duolingo. Actually, I'm pretty sure that dude's Hispanic. I met him in Miami one time. Micah Kaufman from Fiverr. I don't think I have to explain who these are. Like, you might not know their names, but you know these companies, right? Like, these are very well established platforms that we've most likely all used or used something in that category that they created. They all came out with these memos, and these memos have essentially like their insights of like what they've learned recently, their 5 to 7 policy points, and what they see, where they see the world going. And it's really, really telling. But what makes these memos really important to me, why I stopped and I'm starting paying a lot of attention to this and broke it down, is because these memos, they're not meant for us. Right? Anything that I might say, anything that Jay might say, right? Like, you might think this has some kind of like marketing spin, and likely it does if I'm talking about it, right? To be honest. But these memos were internal documents. These are these folks trying to lead their people, trying to grow their baby, take care of the folks that work for them. This is really genuine, insightful, vulnerable reflection. This is super high level strategy of some of the best thinkers and some of the best entrepreneurs in the world, and exactly what they're doing. So I'm going to dive into each of them, kind of like high level, what each of them said, what they're thinking. I'm going to go into kind of like the points that they laid out, who's kind of thinking about this in this industry, and then I'm going to break down what we can use from this, because these guys are way smarter than I am. So let's go ahead and start with Shopify. Shopify's clear message is that AI is now policy, right? It is no longer an option. It's reflexive. You need to be reflexive about it. Reflexive means like you're not even thinking about it when you use it. It's just you're using it the same way that you just wake up and turn on the light, right? Electricity. It's a baseline thing. Tinkering is a must because AI is too unlike anything else. In his memo, he talked about like by diving into this thing, he realized, oh my God, unless you're deep into this, you have no idea what's going on, right? Because it is unlike everything else. And something really interesting, these last 2 points, 10x team is what they have hired for, right? They've hired only A players, a 10x team. AI, in his opinion, is a 10x tool. So it's going to 10x their 10xers, which means 100x results, which leads to this idea that what's easy right now will no longer be valuable. What's hard right now will be easy soon. And what's impossible right now is going to be the new hard, right? So, like, that's his mindset going into it. This reminds me of something I heard from Wolf. I saw him. I've heard a lot of folks in Crane community talking about an AI policy, and I think that this is really, really smart. AI as policy is interesting. The big difference between what I'm hearing from this guy and from what I'm hearing from Wolf is that, or at least in my experience of the people that have reflected it back to me, it sounds like right now the advice in the industry is that you need to have an AI policy that fits into your business. What Tobias is saying from Shopify is that you need to have a policy that adapts your business to AI. There's a big difference in building from the past and adapting to the future. So I want you to have that in mind as we go through this. These are the policies he set out that are the things that he's codifying, that he's expecting from everybody. Using AI effectively is now a fundamental expectation. These are table stakes. It's not just your A players using AI. Everybody needs to be doing it. AI usage is included in performance and peer reviews. You can take this, right? Like, we're going to talk about this, but that's pretty genius. Every time you talk to somebody, hey, how's your AI? How's your AI game grown? It is part of what you do. Justifying headcount and resources by proving AI won't suffice. Somebody comes to you, they want to hire somebody, they want to buy a tool. Hey, why can't we just do this with AI? Right? Like, simple conversation to inject here. Learning is self-directed, but share what you learn. This goes back to that whole idea of you have to be tapping into it because it's too different than everything else. So you got to surround yourself with people using AI in order to get a well-rounded piece of this thing. And everyone means everyone, including leadership. He is the tip of the spear here. That's a little bit different than Duolingo, Luis's policy document, where he's saying AI is now strategy, not just policy, strategy. Duolingo was very clear about the idea that Duolingo became Duolingo because in 2012, when they got going, they went mobile first. They bet on the new platform of the future. And because of that, they've become ubiquitous in society with learning a new language. Anybody remember who was that before? It was Rosetta Stone, right? So now it's Duolingo. They have taken that mantle because they went in the native platform. AI is the new platform. right? So they're going all in on this as strategy, not just a productivity boost. This he starts talking about this with strategy. You got to show that AI is actually getting you closer to the mission. This isn't like an X-wing fighter. This is the lightsaber. This is the only way that you're going to be able to defeat the dark side out here, right? Like that's what they're saying. And because of this, and because of the rapid rate of change, he was very explicit about the idea that you can't wait until the technology is 100% perfect. You rather move with urgency in order to be on top of this platform shift. This stuff, this idea of AI strategy reminds me of a conversation I had on the podcast with Stacy Salyer. Stacy in 2014, single mom, 3 kids in travel sports, decided to start a property management company by herself. Sounds crazy, but at that time, she was betting on a platform shift. The platform shift was there's now these new property management specific softwares like the Rent Vines of the world, and the remote worker revolution happened. So Stacy went for it. In 4 years, she exited to Pure. She worked for Pure for a while, acquiring property management companies. She's done really, really well for herself. When at first she was being called crazy because people thought that she would have to operate under the old paradigm, but she did it strategically under the new paradigm. So here's the policies, the dictates from Duolingo. I don't know if that's a word. Contractors phased out for AI capable tasks. Okay. AI use will be evaluated in performance reviews. Sounds familiar. AI use will factor into hiring decisions. This one's pretty brilliant, right? Like you're hiring people. What are you bringing us in the AI world to the table? Right? Like should be non-optional. Anybody that's looking for a job right now, the number one piece of advice I give them is figure out how to do your job AI first, so that you're showing up with some AI gifts for the company that's bringing you in. Don't expect to have it told. Headcount increases require proof that AI won't handle the work, right? Sounds very, very familiar. And teams must pursue AI driven work redesign initiatives, right? Like you must rethink how your job will be done AI first. And that is absolutely a requirement for you. And then this dude entered the chat over here, the CEO of Fiverr, Micah. He did not mince words. He said, AI is coming for you, right? He's separated from what we have been hearing from everybody else. He's saying it's not just coming for you, it's coming for him. It's coming for everybody's job. It's a wake up call. If you're not working, like it's if you are uh, if you're working like yesterday, you're doing it wrong, right? Like learn from those around you to stay ahead, right? Like common theme here. And I mean, he was just really drastic about it. This was like a really existential kind of like letter. It makes sense, right? Like it makes sense based on what his business is. Like they say that entry level work is kind of going away. You're hearing all these other people say contractors are going to get the axe. Fiverr provides that, right? So like he's really concerned about this as an existential threat. And you know who that reminds me of like who's saying that? No one, right? People are just saying AI isn't going to replace you. Someone using AI is going to replace you. That seems to be the common lexicon. So nobody's really saying that, but they're doing it. I want you to think about the return to work mandates that happened in the last 2 years, and think about the words that people have said. Yeah, we expect to lose 20% of the workforce, but we think return to work is really important. What these CEOs are really saying is, yeah, we think we're going to lose 20% of the workforce and we don't really need it because we know that AI is coming, right? What's coming next? A recession, perhaps, right? We're going to hear that language again. We're going to hear this idea of like we're laying people off. It's not really AI's fault. People are sugarcoating it, but they're acting on it. So I just think that this is really real in the ecosystem. And what are the things he said? Same, a lot like the others, right? Like master AI, learn from internal AI experts, become a prompt engineer, understand company strategy, pitch ideas proactively, own your growth, don't wait for permission, use AI to boost the org-wide efficiency. So let's talk about kind of things that they all agreed on, right? They all agreed on the idea that whether you're a CEO or you are the receptionist, you need to master the AI tools in your domain and don't wait. They agreed on this idea that you need to surround yourself with AI first thinkers because there's no way you're going to learn it all. It's moving too quickly. You got to have people around you that are also pushing it. Time is your most valuable asset. There's a big, big thing of urgency. I kind of hit on it twice here. Don't wait for growth opportunities. You got to create and be an early adopter, make things happen. And then I think this is really important, getting clear on strategy, right? Like it's the AI is not like a complement anymore, right? It's really the main, it's the thing that's going to boost your strategy. And you got to make that really, really obvious and tie to it. So what are the easy team tweaks, right? This is stuff that I've already started doing it. Demanding everyone to do it from intern to exec team, hands to be hands on, right? Like you as a leader should be talking to everybody nonstop about like, oh, I'm doing this AI stuff. What are you doing, right? Like continue putting it in. Continue injecting it into the conversation, making AI part of performance reviews, right? I just had a round of performance reviews this week with my team. I meet with them every 2 weeks, all of them. Hey, what are you doing this week different with AI? Right? Like what is tweaked? I asked some of my new hires. I remember when you came on, you brought some processes here. How has that evolved? Right? This idea that it's included as a hiring metric, we've already started doing that, right? Like it's great when people show up and boost your AI IQ from the outside, right? Like bring it in. If somebody isn't coming to you with an AI solution who's looking for a job, I just don't know if I would hire, honestly, right? Like you got to be asking that question. And then, of course, requiring proof of why AI can't do the job before requesting extra headcount, extra resources, extra software, whatever. Like to me, this seems pretty easy to start today. So now let's talk about these procedural changes that are going to take a while, right? Requiring teams to design their system AI first, not AI assisted. I would say next performance review, how are you doing with AI? Hey, how would we do this if we were to rethink it all with AI? Give them 6 weeks, give them 8 weeks to come back to you with a real answer and continue to ask it during performance reviews. Evaluate vendors for AI change management. I think cost of switching right now is a big deal. And what I see is kind of like three different philosophies of it. It's kind of like these platforms that existed. First of all, everybody's now AI. We can all agree that, right? Like there isn't a single software vendor or somebody who's going to tell you that they're not AI. They're going to start with AI and they're going to continue to say it, right? But like there's three philosophies. There's the platforms that say, yeah, yeah, we're AI too. But we're going to develop the AI. You got to wait for us to do it because it's going to be in your best interest. And they're going to make it really, really hard for other people to plug into it, right? I don't know if those people are your friends, to be perfectly honest. Then there's platforms like Rentvine. This is why I love Rentvine so much. Their point of view is to be open, right? Like you're an existing platform, you're developing your own AI, but you also recognize that people are going to build their own agents, right? Like Wolf and Tiffany and Peter and them. I know that they're building their own agents. Then there's other people that are creating agents, like Aptly and us. And like whether or not they let you play with other things and without forcing you to switch. That's really, really big. And then there's that third category that is like only agentic AI builders that aren't really building a platform. They're building workforce exclusively. We do that exclusively, and those should be designed to play within your existing platforms like an employee, right? So those are kind of like the three things for change management. And then again, right, like, hey, phasing out vendors. When I say phase out roles, I don't mean fire people. I mean ascend people to more valuable stuff when AI starts doing the tasks that nobody wants to do, right? Like put them on needle moving things, right? Here's the deal. If you think about 2005, 20 years ago, right, and think about us now, 2005, your business was wondering whether or not to run a Yellow Book ad or a Google campaign. How different is the world? Facebook didn't exist. Smartphones didn't exist. In 20 years, the world operates completely differently, and that's been because of Moore's law. The idea that computational power doubles every 2 years, right? And that has compounded to an insane amount. Now, think about this. AI doubles every 6 months. That is 4 times as fast. That means that the world in 2030 is going to be as different from today as 2025 is from 2005. That is so hard to comprehend. To really believe that, we can go from yellow pages to today in 20 years. We can do that in 5 years, but that's the math on it, right? That is why the sense of urgency is in all of these messages that these people really, really understand. That's why people are obsessed with this thing. That's why Jay and I are going to do this every 6 months, because every 6 months it's going to be different. Capacities are going to be different. It's crazy, right? So, what does that mean? What they said earlier, right? Hard will become the new easy, impossible is the new hard. You really need to be evaluating things that you thought were impossible yesterday as how does this become the thing that we figure out, because it's happening every single day. And as leaders, your job has changed. You're no longer just a property manager. You are managing transformation. Everybody is going through transformation. What does that mean? Lead from the front. Set the new default. Reward experiments, not perfection, and integrate AI into your culture. It has to just be ingrained, right? Reflexive is a really, really great word for it. And like if you don't, as a content guy, I've talked to so many CEOs. They're like, "Well, I want my team to like post on LinkedIn," and I'm like, "Dude, are you posting on LinkedIn?" Like if you don't prove that it works, your people won't do it, right? So you got to lead from the front. You got to expect this from folks. You got to be attached to this idea that you're going to be able to iterate and iterate and iterate, and you're going to find something, and it has to become culture. So here's what I'm doing, right? Like I just firmly believe there's no such thing as over investing in AI right now. After this thing happened, I've added AI, like an AI podcast to my routine. Sure, I'd love for you to listen to Property Management Framebreakers. We talk about AI a lot. I'm talking about like outside of the industry, right? Like I'm listening to an AI thing outside of the industry because we are in an echo chamber, right? Like we gotta like look at like what is happening outside and bring it in because we're not like at the tip. A lot of us aren't in the tip of the spear. Try out a new tool in this month. I just subscribed. I bought a year-long plan to this like thing called Delphi. So I'm in on it, right? Like I'm doing that right myself, right? Like you got to be doing this stuff. Take a class on it, right? I signed up for this thing called the Creator Capitalist. It's this like way of building brand and building frameworks AI first, because that's the stuff that I care about. But it is, take a class on it so that you are importing somebody else's knowledge. Take that shortcut and then surrounding yourself with AI first thinkers, guys. This is honestly, I feel really lucky in this regard. Like that Vendaru came calling to me in August of this year, or else I wouldn't be here. But really surrounding yourself with folks that are really pushing the envelope on this thing, that are really not just saying, okay, cool, how can we like use a little bit of AI here and there, but how can we make the impossible possible today? This bold promise of like making maintenance something that you don't have to think about, that's making the impossible possible. We're really trying to do that stuff. And, just if you want to see what's possible right now, like we released this podcast of me talking to our AI agent as like an interview, and we talked politics and clogging toilets and all these different things. It's kind of a frame breaking thing to do. Give it a call right now. Just store this number, call this number, and have a conversation with it. Test it in property management, test it in what it thinks about AI, ask it stupid questions, ask it smart questions. You're going to see what's possible there. Oswaldo has any good suggestions of good classes to take? Oswaldo, I think you're gonna find a nice suggestion here. But how do I stop sharing? But yeah, that's my advice. Jay, any suggestions on a good class to take, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, we have totally believe and we have the buy-in that everybody on your team needs to be thinking AI first. The question should be not how do I solve this problem? It should be how can AI help me solve this problem? We believe so much in that. We started certifying every single remote team member that we place. We built out an AI certification program, and every single remote team member that we place goes through that AI certification program. So yeah, hone in, get on the tools. Great news. We have a panel of three sharp property managers. We have two strong female business owners, Sylvie McCracken with McCracken Property Management, Courtney Parks with Allegiance Property Management, and we also have Rodolfo Osario, who is the operations manager and the who that implements AI and amongst other things. at Allegiant Property Management. So let's bring them on and let's start our panel here. You're going to do that for me. Oh, poll, Pablo. You want to read
Yeah.
that?
I'm happy to read the poll. So we just dropped the poll here. We're not allowed to vote as hosts and panelists, so this will be your information. Jay's team is actually really good at turning this information into like a info thing that you can later receive. So the more you vote, the better. Um, I would say let's start bringing the panelists on stage as we go through this. But what AI or automation tools have you already implemented, right? Like general purpose, ChatGPT, Claude. I hope that's a yes for everybody, right? Automation tools, Zapier Make, AI and PM software, Appfolio AI analytics tool, not using any yet. How would you describe your understanding of AI 6 months ago versus today, right? Vote on that, please. What kind of AI user are you personally? Just experimenting, helping others explore it, building SOPs with it, leading AI strategy, not using AI yet. What areas are you currently integrating AI into? How urgent is AI in your business strategy right now? There's a bunch of questions here. I feel like everybody can read this stuff. Why don't you get going with this? Why don't you get going with this panel?
Yeah, we decided to just throw all the poll questions out there right now
Wasn't
because
prepared.
without AI, right, we live in the real world. Mistakes happen. Sometimes it's human error, sometimes it's AI. I'm going to blame AI on this one. Chad messed it all up. If you guys have seen my Chad AI, he's not in here right now, but he's built like a cross of if me and David Beckham had a baby, this is the spirit animal of us. So
He's
that's
quite the
Chad.
Chad. He's quite the Chad.
Yeah, Chad made this error. So, but anyway, yeah, just go ahead and hit the poll. You can just go through and hit those 8 questions. And why don't we get started with our exceptional panel? I see you handsome and wonderful people here. This panel is about rethinking how work gets done in the AI era. Like Pablo was saying before, we have we have some mindsets where AI won't replace people, but people using AI will, and then other people who think that the org chart is going to completely change. Look, everything is evolving and people will have a seat on the bus. It just might look slightly different. We'll be able to manage, instead of a maintenance coordinator managing 300 doors, they'll be able to manage 1,200 doors, right? It's just the evolution of what we're doing in business. That's why, like Pablo said, make sure you're surrounding yourself with people like Courtney, Sylvie, Rodolfo, and other property managers that are doing the things. So we'll talk a little bit about tools and use cases, implementation wins, but love to get started with the first question, Sylvie. What's one way that you're already using AI, even if it's informally as a sidekick or in your company specifically?
Yeah, so it's mostly my team, leaning on it. So I basically took what Pablo said. I heard him say this, a while back, and the most important thing that stood out at me was the rewarding the experiments. So we just have a Slack channel for the team that is AI Playground, and so I've been really impressed with how every team member has, found a new tool, or this is how I made this process a little more streamlined. So my thought process around it is that it's a bit of an assembly line, and it's always an automation. If we can do an automation, let's do that. Before AI, we went from there to outsourced team overseas, and only then did we go to team in the US. Now with AI, we've added that, we've sandwiched that in between, an automation where something happens automatically, then an AI situation, and only then does it go overseas. So what that means is my overseas team is implementing things like Vendaroo, for example, to really start to integrate that AI into our daily operations.
Wow, that sounds great. So you have an AI playground Slack channel. That sounds awesome. What's one thing that you've seen that surprised you from your team?
I think, I mean, really, we're just cracking the surface now, but everything from, for example, we have these really long video tutorials a lot of times with the softwares that we're implementing. We're implementing so many of them so quickly, it seems. And so we're heavy on SOPs on my team. And so being able to take that hour-long video and having them use an AI tool, which escapes me now, for video editing, where they're clipping that hour-long video that we've paid, a couple $100 for that consultant, and clipping it into, let's say, 10 SOPs on, like, this is how we use Rentvine, for example. And this is how we pay bills in Rentvine, or whatever it might be. So the output of, we're able to crank out SOPs, I guess, 10x what we were able to do manually before, because we have these tools that can transcribe and clip these videos very, very quickly.
Yeah, super powerful. In today's world, we just have to do more with less, and AI is definitely a way to get us there. Courtney, how are you and your team implementing AI? We've been working together for some time, and you presented to the AI mastermind. Definitely respect what you guys are doing, and it's well thought out. Can you tell us a little bit about what you have in play?
Yeah, I would say similar to Sylvie, it's really, I'm encouraging the team to be curious and play around with different aspects of how we can integrate AI into the softwares that we're currently using. We've really leaned into ChatGPT. I have a team account set up. So it's just one email login that the entire team uses, and then each team member or department has its own project that they can kind of go in and work around. So we are able to set the tone that we want ChatGPT to respond, and have our documents uploaded. So it's already kind of getting to know how I want the voice of the company to sound. We've started using Google Notebook LM. So we've uploaded all of our documents there, and that's kind of like an internal chat GPT where my team can, ask a question about our pet policies, or what's our RBP include, or what's the pricing structure, and it'll, shoot back at it. We've played around with like the podcast feature on there, just a lot of a lot of fun tools. We've used Zapier to automate, connected it with Lead Simple and Calendly. And the biggest thing is finding who on my team can lead that charge and who is naturally curious about AI, has been the biggest game changer for me, because it's not really me. That's not my strong suit, but I found someone on my team who is going to dive in, and he's going to play around on his off time. And I've just let him run with it, and he runs everything past me. And then just getting the team more encouraged to play around, and kind of, I think what you were saying before, instead of trying to solve a problem first, try to solve it through that. We're uploading inspection reports to ChatGPT. It's, figuring out the age of a water heater, and that's flagging it on a report, and we can send that to the owner. It's so much quicker, and more information. And then just what it's giving to the client is so much better than what we were doing before.
Yeah, that's awesome, Courtney. Notebook LM, super powerful, and you make a good point. Not all of us are the AI who on our team. I mean, some of us are completely intimidated of technology, which is okay. I mean, we do still have to lead from the perspective of being an AI first company, but it's finding the who is super important. Speaking of a who, Rodolfo Osorio, super impressive guy. I met Rodolfo, I think, a couple of years ago now. We placed him with Maria Napolitano's company at Allegiant Property Management as a process architect. But she soon realized that how incredible of a talent that Rodolfo is. Now the operations manager, I believe, and running the show. Rodolfo, thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about how you guys are utilizing AI right now.
Well, we know that that this business has a lot of repetition, right? Repetitive tasks, same thing, like month after month. So, we have decided to automate like reminders, notices, like let's say things that may not take that much out of your time if you see them individually, but once they add up, you realize that's a lot of your time. You spend a lot of time like doing those repetitive tasks, right? That's one. But the main jump that we have made is maintenance. We have partnered with Venderu to take care of the daily the day-to-day maintenance operations, and we have seen uh, a lot of changes, especially on, again, the time, right? And I think that we will all agree that time is one of the, well, if not the most valuable resource we have. So we spend less time trying to figure things out. We spend like less time trying to guide tenants and vendors as well, right? So I will say that those are like the main usages of AI. And on the lesser side, to proofread content, or as Corny shared, to analyze like inspection reports, things like that that will help you become like more efficient. And we have a lot of uses, and also especially when you are like in putting these like out there, when we have team members from different countries, right? And it helps you like proofread, or to make things like better, right, when English is not your native language, right? So that's something that we use that for as well.
Yeah, thanks, Rodolfo. And if I remember correctly, you all are one of the first companies that actually have guidelines in place, an AI utilization policy. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, that is correct. We have an AI policy and procedure, because we gotta be responsible with the usage of AI too, right? Even though it's gonna be doing a lot of work for us, right? We gotta make sure that it's being used for the right uh, reasons and the right purposes as well, and that no, like, let's say, for example, confidential information is being entered in the tools, right? Because you don't know where that's going to end up, right? So that's very important, that we had a session, right, to go over the AI policy and procedure, because it's important that everybody in the team that is using AI gets to sign off on that, because of course you have to be careful, responsible, and take care of the information that has been given to you.
Yeah, correct. That's great. Yeah, there's mid-risk situations and high-risk situations, right? The high-risk hallucinations, which we've all experienced. And if you're using AI for marketing or an email, is very different than using it to research local regulation changes and other just high-risk areas, and outlining those are so important. Having uniform standards, right? Like Sylvie said, everybody's playing around right now, and curiosity is leading, which is great, and that's what every company should do as that first step. But then when you adopt standards, everybody's using this tool to do this, right? Like standardizing it within your company. um Courtney, you had mentioned Notebook LM before. Love it. Wondering if you have used the study guide or the FAQ portion of that yet. Reason I ask, we have a client who has turned their company documentation into quizzes, right? Knowledge base, help people brush up on what they're doing around here, right? And you can run new team members through as well.
Yeah, we have played around with those features. Right now it's more my hope is to kind of create some sort of process, whether it's in Lead Simple or manually, but to create some sort of training center that would be able to, you know, show those FAQs and take them through like a quiz, but right now it's more of a help center where they can go, like a resource where all of that information is, and trying just to, I think one of the biggest things about AI is, company adoption and just getting folks trained to go there, right? To use it, because we've been so used to doing one thing for as long as, AI is still so new to a lot of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Change is scary, and change management in a leadership role is extremely challenging, right? I mean, especially with something that's ever changing that a lot of people don't understand. I'm learning every day. Sylvie, you have teams, you have a team that's throughout the world, like most of us, right? You have remote team members, you have people on the ground. You seem to be fairly tech savvy. Are you leading the AI effort? How do you get your team? How do you address your team and get their buy-in and their adoption?
Yeah, I mean, I think, kind of, going back to a couple of things that Pablo highlighted. I mean, one is the AI is coming for all of our jobs. And so it's one of those things where it's like we have no choice but to adapt. And so I think it's a little bit of rewarding the experiments. And really, I really mean that by meaning when someone brings up an AI tool or some way we can be more efficient or take out a manual thing that we're doing and replace it with AI, it really is rewarded as like this is something we spend a lot of time on. This is something that the team member gets a lot of praise on, in front of everybody else. So I think it's really that. And then the other thing is changing the mindset from both for myself and for my team as like I'm not looking to maybe replace an entire process start to finish with AI a lot of the times, and maybe we'll get there, and maybe some processes we can do that way, such as maintenance coordination. We can probably do 90% of it with AI with Vendaroo. But I'm seeing it as like, can AI help us, set the ball so that we can spike it manually? And what I mean by that is, can we triple our output because we're having AI get things ready for us? So then we're just spiking balls all day, if that makes sense, as opposed to trying to figure out, having this narrow mindset of, can AI replace this entire thing? No, it can't. Then therefore set AI aside. Instead, if it's a 10-step process, are there 3 or 4 things that AI could do for us? Because even that, I think, is how we're going to continue to improve as we learn it more and as AI, gets a little bit smarter as well.
Yeah, it's so important. Just as we learn this, and curiosity is really, in my opinion, it's one of my key words for this year, just being more curious. But being more curious about how can AI help me do this? How can I how can I help my team transition from the folks that might be task doers or at least have that limiting mindset from the past to problem solvers by having AI as a strategic co-pilot. Sylvie, how do you handle team members who may not be either may not be so tech savvy or nervous about if AI is going to replace them, right? Like, so either or.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think it's really just I'm kind of robotic about it, where we have this, if they come to me with a problem, we usually they come with a problem, they come with 3 options for a solution and their recommendation. One of those solutions has to have AI involved, first of all. So, and they know, like, my first question is going to be like I'm almost robotic about it, where it's like, what AI tools have you looked into to solve this? So most of the time now they're coming to me already going, I looked into this, I looked into this. I think we can use it for this. Maybe on this one, we want to keep it manual for right now because it's hallucinating or whatever else. So I think it's that. And then I think also flipping the conversation from kind of like the founder of, what's it, Fiverr, that said, AI is coming for my job as well. So it's like, we're all in this together. This is not just my team trying to defend their role, but rather the way I frame it is like, you're right. And you kind of want AI to come for your job because guess what? That means you can get promoted. Otherwise, it's like you have 2 choices. You're going to be replaced by AI or you're going to be promoted to be able to use AI in this role. So I think that's the conversation, and again, rewarding those experiments, and figuring out where can we implement this literally in every single one of our processes.
Damn, Sylvie, you are fire. I would say don't worry about AI coming for your job, but worry about Sylvie coming into your market. Great, strong leadership there. And I love the three possible solutions. I wrote this note down, one of them being AI. We have incorporated how are you in our one-on-ones, our weekly one-on-ones with our team members? What are you doing to level up with AI right now, right? Asking those leading open-ended questions. Rodolfo, same question to you, because this is a challenge that we all have with folks who are not so tech savvy or nervous about, being replaced, so they don't want to jump into something. How are you guys handling that?
All right, we handle it by showing everybody that they are not being replaced, because I guess that's a very common like concern that nobody's getting replaced, right? But by showing how AI could support everybody, not replace them, right? Like, for example, how they it can be an aid, like to look up for that, going back to maintenance updates, right? That's one thing. And something that we do not only with AI but change in general is to manage change through empowerment and an explanation, right? Showing the big picture, the benefits, and all the pros that everything has, in this case, like the AI usage, right? And that help us, encourage all of our team members, especially the ones that feel like less comfortable with newer technology, right? So that's how we assist ourselves, by empowering and encouraging our teams.
Yeah, that's great. Empowering, encouraging, motivating. What I'm hearing is that right now is a call more than ever for the business owners and team members to step up as leaders and lead our team. We have to become better leaders. If there's one skill set that I would advocate for, is leadership, so that we can end up owning the outcome and bringing people, influencing them to follow us down that road. Or else we're going to be having to go behind, fix people's mistakes. It's just, we don't need that vicious circle. Um, Courtney, what advice would you give to a property manager who's just starting to explore AI, but wants to make progress and not overwhelm their team?
Yeah, great question. I would say, start small, like just get more comfortable using something like a chat GPT. Sign up for the pro account. It's definitely worth the money, and start using it. Start finding unique ways that you can make it more useful. Maybe even join a mastermind or listen to, there's so much content out nowadays. I think the biggest thing that I would say is that AI is not replacing anyone. It's allowing you to have extra time to focus on those human interactions, because property management is a people business. So AI is never going to do away with the heart of the businesses. It's not going to get rid of us, but we are going to be taken out by competitors who are providing that human quality and then automating everything else and using AI. So you kind of have to level up and automate and make your life easier in the places that you can. And then the biggest thing is find someone on your team who you can delegate. I think realistically, nowadays, if you're looking at your org chart, having someone who is your systems or AI expert, to me, that would be a legitimate job position right now. Someone who is going to, be the implementer for all the software that we're dealing with. Because it doesn't have to be on you. Like, we don't have to do all the things. We need to delegate and lead the charge for the company, but it doesn't always have to be us, who's the owner of that process.
Yeah, that's great advice, Courtney. I hope everybody listening is taking notes, because you're hearing it from the property managers, the business owners who are doing it right now. So, like, that's great advice. We recommend everybody have in their quarterly projects at least one project to how are you going to move AI forward in the company, right? Something that is strategic that you're evaluating every 90 days. Rapid fire. We're wrapping up. Rodolfo and Sylvie, what would be the advice that you would give someone who's just getting started with AI right now? Rodolfo, I'm sorry.
Yeah, my advice will be like as Courtney was saying, like identifying the right person in your team to lead the projects, because property management can be very overwhelming. Brokers, owners have other things to take care of. And this responsibility is less about the title and more about the mindset, right? The right person often doesn't have to be the most technical, right? Because you don't have to go and code, right? But it has to be the most curious person on your team and systems minded. Someone that can see, like, identify inefficiencies and think, how can we make this better? How can we streamline this? And someone that's not afraid to experiment, even if they know that it may, let's say, fail, like at the beginning. So that would be my advice.
Great advice. Now is more important than ever to identify the AI who, and it doesn't have to be a complete role that you're hiring for. It's somebody just has to wear that hat. Shameless plug for us. Guess what? We hire remote team members and they go through an AI certification program. If you don't have that person on your team, go to betterwho.com and you can find that person on your team. Reach out to us and we'll have a call. Sylvie, same question, and then we're going to turn it over to Pablo and our other leaders for the panel.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if you're just getting started, which arguably I think we all kind of are, is really, it can be overwhelming, right? Where you're like, where do I even start? There's a million different tools. Of course, ChatGPT being the lowest hanging fruit, having your team use that instead of Google for just about everything is sort of like, I would say, mandatory. But I would say, pick just one area of your company. So either one department or one process or something that is taking the most amount of time, that feels clunky, that needs improvement, and then dive in and figure out, how can you use AI to make that a little more streamlined or to prevent things from slipping through the cracks or whatever it might be. If you really want to take it to the next level to figure out which one of those things it is, I would say track your time for a week. Using something like Toggle or MemTime or whatever you want, and really take a look, because you'll be surprised at where your time is actually going, and figure out, is it sales, is it marketing, is it operations, where is that bottleneck, where is there 10 hours that could be shrunk down to 2 by implementing AI. And just from there, I think it will snowball. Once you have that first thing and you have that quick win of like, oh my God, I just bought 8 hours back, then you're going to be motivated enough to figure out what's the second thing and the third thing and so forth.
Yeah, super helpful and great advice. Yeah, and I'm going to put something here in the chat. We are actually going to be doing a workshop next week that's going to solve that same problem, a live workshop where I'm gonna be leading it, and I'll take you through a couple of exercises. You can register on that link. And it's how to identify that one problem, how to identify the right who, and then at the end of it, you'll have a 30-day plan to take you from AI awareness into AI action. Thank you so much, Sylvie, Courtney, Rodolfo. I'm sure everybody, if you got value from these folks, give them a shout out. Is it shout out or shout out? I'm saying shout out. Give them a shout out in the comments. Like, tell them great job. Like, these people, they took their time, very talented, smart professionals, to share with you guys. Thank you guys so much. Over to you, Pablo.
Remind me, Jay, how much time do we have for this for this panel coming up here as we start getting folks on stage? What's our timing here?
2025.
2025. All right, that's the year of our Lord, 2025. All right, cool.
The year right now too.
It's the year of our Lord, 2025. Okay, So I want to bring on stage, if y'all can, come off, Sina, Leor, Randall. Turn on your cameras. Let me see you as you start getting put. Okay, I'll introduce Leor first. Leor. Okay, I guess I'm introducing Sina first. We just gotta add spotlights here. Cool. Awesome. Thank you. Leor, CEO, founder of Blanket, is one of my favorite storytellers in the industry. I think definitely one of my favorite hangs in the industry as well. Leor, good to have you, man. You want to say hi to everybody?
Likewise, it's a pleasure to be here, guys.
Cool.
Very important topic today.
Yeah,
Very important.
agreed. Agreed. Cena and I just met for the first time at Red Vines Be Heard, but I know of Cena very much. He's one of the smartest guys you're going to hear talking about AI. I think you're like a Stanford adjunct professor or something like that, right, Cena?
It's a passion project at best. But yes, thanks for having me here and really excited to talk about AI.
Yeah, man, cool. And then Randall, I think Randall, if there's one thing to say about him, is that he's the best dancer in the industry by far. I just got out of the Grand Canyon with Randall, where he led a group of 25 property managers through there, and I must say, him and his wife are like the best couples hang I've ever had. Randall, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, man. Happy to be here and very privileged to share the stage with Sina and Lior. Wow, you guys, I respect both of them so much. And so it's just it's fun to be here with you guys.
Yeah, and I'll just say this right now because I'm having massive imposter syndrome. I see myself as more of a reporter on AI, and I'm very curious about it and ask questions and I learn from people. I think you guys are very much more technical than I am as far as like understanding how the stuff behind the scene works. So Leor, I know that you had when we were kind of like doing the warm up, you have like a real viewpoint and framework of how you approach AI. Do you want to share that with us?
Sure. I'll give the story of how like our AI works at Blanket because it's a great representation of understanding where the opportunities for us to have a clear view on where AI could really move the needle for us and what we have to have in place for the AI to really move the needle for us. So I look at it in four steps. Like imagine the AI as like a researcher, right? That tries to look at this flow of data, like imagine a stream of data, and there is something that starts this flow. Like let's see it as a water drop that water runs through this pipe. There's something at the end of this pipe. There's some kind of a result. There's some kind of an outcome. So the first step in this flow is always the data. What is the data that we're working with? How organized is it? How clean is it? How standardized is it? Can we actually use that data to derive more complex insights? And this is normally the second step in this flow, because if we have the data readily accessible, comprehensive, and easy to work with, we can start deriving insights. And after we have insights, and insights can be also some type of a data, just more structured, because there might be a lot of different data sources, PDFs, spreadsheets, databases on the cloud, and a lot of other things, chat, text, images, you name it. Something can be created out of all of this into a single line of a text, which can be an insight. After I have these insights, I can then start looking at them and thinking, what is like the best next step that I should take, right? So this is what we call, at least internally, the recommendation on the next step. So I got the data, I got the insights, I understood what should be the next step, and then we have the actual outcome. Then we have the action, right? So if Pablo, you're talking a lot about the agentic AI, right? So this is really the next level. So the agentic AI sort of like goes through this flow. It understands the data, it drives the insights to something that it can understand, creates some kind of an understanding or recommendation to itself on what should be the outcome, and then it actually does that process or that action. And that action can be maybe just a simple email. Like it could be an AI generated email, it could be an AI generated phone call script, or it can be an actual AI receptionist, right? That answers the call and conducts a conversation based on all the recommendation and insights and the data that enable this entire flow. So that like these four steps of data, insights, recommendations, and the action, the outcome. This is how we look at AI. And if I was a company owner looking at it from a property management perspective, I would ask myself, do I have all the data readily accessible? Is it organized? Is it standardized? Because if you throw AI at it, it might do a good job, but maybe not necessarily a great job. It might miss certain things, right? Because maybe I don't have all the data that's required for the outcome that I want it to have. And this is where we might sometimes have an unrealistic expectation. Like we imagine if we'll throw AI at the problem, magic will happen. It will solve all of our problems, right? But it requires a little bit of work. It requires a little bit of preparation on our end to make sure that the AI, as a person, has all the tools that it needs to succeed, and also it requires some, support, some guidance. Same as a human being, right? The AI, when you implement it, it also learns how you expect it to work. It learns what you prefer to do in certain situations. So there's also some kind of a ramp up. So taking all that into consideration and understanding that flow, this is how we at least operate all of our AI algorithms to really make sure that we are not also missing anything. And that's the same thing as if we were implementing AI in our business as well.
Thanks for that, Lior. Sina, you guys have come out with a bunch of agents also, right? Like this like agentic side of it. The way that I've been explained the data in agentic, it's or at least the way that I explain generative versus agentic, it's kind of like generative is like the genie that you rub the lamp, you ask for a wish and it grants it, and then you got to rub it again. Agentic is like the Terminator that's programmed to do a job. And then I've heard that when it comes to the data, like the true data around agentic is kind of like something that folks haven't really like we have data, we have theses around it, but like how to actually turn agentic, turn data into agentic, forgive me if I'm saying it wrong, is like a new thing that everybody's kind of developing at the same time. Is that about accurate? Like you're the super technical guy that can explain this. Can you kind of like give me a grade on that, correct it, kind of shed
Yeah,
some light on that?
I totally will, but like just for the fact that there's probably a lot of people on this call who are not technical, I
Yeah,
want to tell a tiny little story.
cool.
It's
Yeah, please.
one that maybe Randall will appreciate. So, two hikers go into the woods, right? They see a huge bear, right? The bear is massive, grizzly, looks at them. Two of the hikers look at each other. One of them bends down to tie his shoes. You probably heard this one. One guy's like, "What are you doing? We got to run." And the hiker who's tying his shoes says, "I just have to outrun you." And that's the thing about AI is like it's everyone's going after it right now, and we all
Yeah.
know it has a purpose and that it's going to change things. It's reshaping leasing, maintenance, screening, the whole resident experience. The efficiency gains are real, but the thing is, there has to be like a thoughtful implementation of it to make sure that you kind of roll it out correctly. You're right. There's different types of AI too. There's agentic, which is like it's you said it well. It's like a Terminator. It doesn't have to be, but I mean, in essence, some people doll up AI to make it sound like it's human, and you can talk to it about the weather. I personally don't like that. I like AI that just gets me the information I need because I think the main thing about AI is that it has to work alongside a human. AI is not going to take your job. It's going to take the job of the person on your team that doesn't know how to use it. And that's the reality. And more importantly, AI needs a lot of information so that it can work really well. If your information sitting in a bunch of silos, it has no access to it. And now your humans are copying and pasting a bunch of information to it so it can figure something out. That's not good. So I think, again, you have to start to take a step back and think about your tech stack to make AI really kind of work well. And that's a really good argument for like playing with players who want to work with each other and platforms like Remfind that are wide open, that give me my data, let me do things with it. But I want to touch on a couple of things that we didn't talk about that are super important. As we prep for AI, there's a lot of variables in there. There's like the human element of it, like how's my team going to feel about this? What do I do with this? How do I position it to them? How do I make them feel like it's not going to take away their jobs? We just hired a bunch of RTMs. What are their roles going to be? There's all these things, but there's something even more fundamental in AI that people don't pay attention to. Like that Terminator, Pablo, you were just talking about, that's going to call you or you call it. you better be thinking about putting language in your lease agreements right now that are going to kind of have explicit terms that say AI tools and automated calls and texts and pre-recorded voice messages will be used to communicate with you. Now, why is that so important? Because there's this thing called the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, the TCPA, and compliance with that's pretty damn important because robocalling is no bueno, and if you do it, you will get slapped with a pretty heavy fine. So we have this really wonderful tool under our belt called a lease agreement where someone has to sign it before they go into my home. Why don't we use that as a place to get that consent so there's absolutely no ambiguity on what's going on? I'm going to put that in my rent fine lease agreement, use rent sign to have it signed, and I got no problems with it ever again. So when that person tells me, hey, you're calling me and I didn't give you permission, it's written there. Now that's really important because as we get over the tips of our skis, like the chat's full of great AI tools, that's wonderful. Some of those tools are going to interface with your customers. Those are the agentic ones. And it's very important to think about some of the compliance and ways that you handle these things before you just start going willy-nilly. And you have to be thoughtful about talking to your team about AI as being a teammate, not a threat. I don't really love the idea of AI for the sake of AI. It has to kind of integrate into where people work so that they feel like it's empowering them. It's giving them the information that they need. It needs to be able to hand things off gracefully, not let them fall into a black hole. I always see all these funny things that say like, oh, I called this line and I tested. I told it, where do I hide a dead body? Okay, that's funny, but that's not really the point. The point of AI is you've got a whole bunch of leasing agents or a BDR who's supposed to be answering the phone, but he's on a call. And the next call, instead of going to a voicemail, can go to a really intelligent agent that can get the information it needs and tee that person up for success next. Not to act like it's a person when it doesn't need to act like it's a person. Announce that it is AI and it's trying to save them from the BS of waiting forever for someone to get back to them. So I really do think that there's a couple quotes in here which are worth like kind of closing on from my perspective is AI is only as smart as the systems and the people behind it. If you don't put your information in a place where it can access it, it's not going to be very good. If you don't have people who are constantly training it and paying attention to it, it's not a set it and forget it thing. Don't chase after shiny tools. Build it into the customer journey, intelligently look at where it's supposed to go. Leora gave you some really great examples. Maybe it flew over some of your heads, but what he was really trying to say is think about where AI fits in and where it hands off things and train it like you train a totally completely noob in your business that knows nothing about anything because you literally have to treat it like that. And if you do it really well, it's going to really move the needle for you. So anyways, hopefully I answered your question.
I mean,
Amen.
I don't even remember the question, but your answer was
Yeah.
great.
Amen. Amen to
Let's
that.
go.
Yeah. I telling by the chat, I think you answered many questions, my friend. Randall, you're pretty passionate about this like existential threat discussion. I feel like the existential threat discussion's coming up. I feel like I pushed the envelope on it. I was talking about the Fiverr guy, not me. I have my own way of saying it, but like how do you want to talk about the existential threat discussion?
Pablo, you're a great evangelist, man. I love that you kind of light the fire and pour gasoline on it, and then we'll sort out kind of where it falls, where the chips fall, and I love that because it does ask the right questions. But I just want to make two quick points because Sina and Lior kind of covered a lot of the technical side and how to integrate that in the business. Remember, though, that property management is at its core a relationship business. Every single person on this call knows that because most of our investors that we work with in the NARPM crowd and the SFR space, they're people who only have one or two properties. In fact, 90% of the single family homes for rent in the United States are owned by someone who only owns one or two. So it represents their largest investment. The reason why no one's been able to roll up property management across the country and dominate the space is because people are still choosing a property manager based on the relationship that they have. It is a people first business. And so, yes, there are many opportunities to integrate AI, as has been mentioned, through generative AI. And agentic AI is kind of that next phase, but it is a very big step. And so I would just say, remember what's at the core of your business. If AI can make it easier for you to build your relationships with your owners, then hell yes, run with that. Do that all day long, but just be careful of giving up the reason why property managers are chosen. And when you rank the 10 reasons why a property manager is chosen, do you know what's number 10? The price, the cost. But do you know what's number one? The availability of the manager and honesty and integrity. Like that speaks volume to where like the choice is being made from a consumer. And then the other side of kind of zooming out in the space, property management at its core is very process oriented. Aptly has done an amazing job, and others in the space, of just helping to kind of get those processes organized and done and scalable for your whole team. And this is an area where AI can come in and dominate and help you move something forward. So what I like to tell our clients and customers and other people, property managers that I've worked with, is go through the exercise of doing, grabbing a process and then doing a customer journey mapping, as I call it. So like above the line is where things are touching the customer. Below the line is all the team things that have to be done across different departments to get that process across the finish line. Onboarding an owner is the perfect example of a complex process where there are probably so many things below the line that could be made faster, easier, better with generative AI. I will say that. So at Rentvine, we're very much pursuing both sides. Generative, we already have 4 major functionalities inside of Rentvine that are on par with anybody in the space. And then agentic is kind of that new area where, look, front of house, maintenance, accounting and bookkeeping, and leasing are the 4 areas that we're looking at for agentic type of developments. But hopefully that can help to get that in perspective. Remember who you are in this business.
Randall, you made me realize like you're basically saying like elevate the human. AI is supposed to elevate the human. And
Yeah.
you're totally right. People want to be able to still pick up the phone and call the owner of the company or the manager of the company to get something done when it needs to be done. It's not even lost on me. A lot of my customers, when they're hitting a massive roadblock, they just send me an email. I respond right away. And I have that luxury because I'm kind of shielded from all the other stuff. So you said it best, man. You're elevating the kind of the customer experience by making people available where they need to be.
Yeah, that's the
Empowerment.
Yeah,
yep.
I couldn't agree more with that. Cena. I think that's where it's all taken me, right? Like for me, the idea of like relationships over transactions is very much a core value for me. And where I'm seeing it, or at least the way that we talk about it, is this idea that there's so many tasks inside of property management, right? Like you said, Randall, you got some processes and you can automate that stuff. You can add some agents with some pretty good guardrails, and there's so many tasks that don't necessarily move the needle. When then there's some moments that truly move the needle, and the key is to make yourself available for those moments. And if you can, like we say, automate the mundane, elevate the critical, and these kinds of things to the people, it doesn't have to be a message of replacing workforce as much as elevation. Don't you rather be doing this thing that moves the needle as opposed to makes you have to drink 35 cups of coffee and like get the jitters all the time, right? But within that is the idea that some of these tasks are going to go away, are they not? Like how do we reconcile the idea that we are going to elevate employees to do more meaningful things while other tasks are going away? Like how are you guys seeing this in your companies?
I think the clarification in general that is important on this topic is that when we're looking at AI solutions for processes or anything in our business, it's not all or nothing.
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, I want to automate my leasing process. It's not like I have to, when I'm thinking about AI, it's not like I'm going to let the AI do everything in the leasing process, right? So it's important to ask ourselves, where am I comfortable or where am I ready to insert AI into the process with all the fundamental assumptions that we talked about here in this conversation is like, again, data, clarity, accessibility, etc., and all those things. Where is the AI can really move the needle and where am I feeling comfortable with it? So like imagine it like, like like letting your kid, walk around in the park alone. Like there are some boundaries, right? You don't want your kid to go out where it's close to the road or something like that because you fear that, right? So same here with AI. Where do you feel comfortable letting the AI go, roam free? Is it up until the moment of actually talking with the tenant? Is it, and if it's the owner, is it up until the moment of actually having a call with the owner? Or is it up until the moment where we send an email to the owner? Or is it even before that? Is it just up until the AI generates an email and I want to be the one who approves it and then sends it? Like, where do you feel comfortable of letting that, stop with AI automating everything? And where are you ready in I would say efficient enough to let it do its work to the fullest extent. So that's how we're seeing it in our company as well. We, with that same perspective of empowerment, we want to still be that face that you see in the hallways of every conference. And this is the same face that's going to talk with you in the Zoom meeting or over the phone. But we know that we're a people industry. Like we're friends with one another. We stay at the bar until 2 a.m. at every, conference night. So like I'm imagining myself, how would that feel if somebody would call me and talk with an AI? Like that's the thing that I personally don't want to. Can we do it? We definitely can. There are so many AI agents out there that I can let, just manage my phone calls. But do I want that? Not necessarily. Again, this is a individual decision that we have. But other things like, administrative tasks or things like that where I'm not afraid to lose that special human touch, let's do it. Who cares? Like I don't care for anything to break there. So that's how we see it, is like where we feel comfortable of letting it run to its fullest extent, and where are we also ready to really make it let it do a job effectively.
But you have definitely proved that doing the unscalable scales based on how much you show up everywhere and the trust that you've built in the market. Durando, you had a hand up. We're a little bit
Shout out
over
to
time.
my
You had a
wife.
hand up. I want to let you go. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just want to say I'll give a real world example because we talked about maybe companies who have built out, and Sina, you touched on this. Maybe you've built out your policy manuals and procedures, and you want to input that into an AI LLM of some kind so that your employees can get trained easily and can return, what to do in every situation. At Rentvine, we have a massive user knowledge base, or like a knowledge base that is publicly available. We looked at an AI technology to put that knowledge base into kind of the back end and deliver in software as people needed it. What do I need to do next for this step? The reason why we didn't roll that out is because in our testing, we found that it was giving advice that was not always correct, depending on the state, depending on the situation, depending on how to handle security deposits right in terms of property management. So we have held on that type of tech. We're very careful to allow property managers to make that decision for how they want to run their business and to keep CYA for us to not get sued because we gave terrible advice on handling a security deposit account. So, it's just finding that balance and kind of like remembering that it's only as good as the data that you put in when you're doing that type of work.
Randall, just one closing thought on that too. I think a lot of people on this call don't really have a person in their office that can have the luxury of making this their job, right? So a lot of people who are listening to this are like, this is awesome, but who the hell is going to run with this in my office, right? And we see this a lot when you're implementing workflow automation and the things that we do at Aptly and all the integrations with all the tools. It's become kind of obvious that there's a new role that AI is accelerating, which is having a person within your staff who's going to be tasked with understanding all the recent technology, how it's going to kind of fit in everywhere, and more importantly, how do I implement it? How do I test things? How do I see if it's working, if it's not? The example you gave was great because someone on your team was like, this is not working, we're pulling out. But we're not done. We're going to keep coming back and try this again and again. I think that this is a role that every single person on this call needs to start thinking about hiring or adopting somebody, because there's always that younger, more hungry person, maybe, or just somebody who loves tech in your office who's going to say, I want to be that person. Give them the chance, put them through those classes, let them go learn these things, because I'm going to guess most of the people on this call just don't have the time for it or the appetite.
Excellent, excellent call, Sina. That's a great transition into Jay right now. It's almost like you were set here for that one. Sina, thank you so much for being here. Leor, thank you so much for being here. Randall, thank you so much for being here. I feel smarter just by like being in this same like picture frame right here. I want to take a picture so everybody thinks I'm as smart as you guys. But that being said, another super smart guy. Jay, what do you think about what Cena just said, man? What I hear Cena saying is like this is a who strategy, right? Like you're gonna need a teammate on board that gets to carry this. And I've talked to some folks where they're the founder or the partner or the CEO does it like you. But then there's a lot of folks that really are in need of this kind of like AI, bringing in an AI talent, promoting an AI talent. What do you think of that last piece?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, right? First off, like give people a shot because, fact is everybody's going to need to adopt AI. So it has to be, you have to give everybody a shot that's on the team. So identify your AI who, as we call them internally first. And if you don't have the AI who, we have, obviously we place remote team members that are certified, AI certified. But at the same time, there should be, if you don't have a responsibilities matrix or if you don't update your roles and responsibilities for your team members, this should be something that everybody knows who the AI who is. They know who owns that outcome, whether it's you or someone on your team, because the buck stops here, right? Like, you have to know who owns that and who's driving that, who's leading that. And speaking about leading, right? It's leading from top down, Pablo. You and I have been talking about this as we've been going through the AI driven leader and just, throughout our chats and having those AI champions and creating those AI champions on your team. This has been a great summit. I mean, we talked about a lot of things. What are you looking at, Pablo, and what are some of your takeaways moving forward?
Yeah, my main takeaway is the idea that this needs to be really reflexive, right? Like the good thing about this AI driven leader, I think it's like it's great kind of like mental framework for how to make AI reflexive in the sense that it uses AI as a thought partner just right off the get, right? Like that'll accelerate your AI knowledge using it as a thought partner. But then the other piece is the fact that this thing was written a year ago, right? So like AI has doubled in power twice a year ago, right? So and I see everything that's changing. I'm really encouraged by the level of like adoption and people showing up to this. I know that there's real AI burnout. So I'm just trying to lead from the front, right? Like my takeaway was we've already implemented this idea of having AI as a hiring hurdle, right? Like you've got to bring something in that's AI first. We've already implemented the idea of AI performance, performance reviews. AI is like one solid piece of it and really just pressuring folks. But the thing that I'm most focused on right now is being the change myself, right? Like leading in it, right? Like not just I I think the idea of I think having your like chief AI person or whatever, whatever that role is going to be that you're going to hand off is definitely something that if you're not going to do it, you have to do it. But I just look at other context changes, right? Like I look at when Gary Vee came out and started saying everybody needs to make content, and it's like you as the head of the company need to make content, or else you're leaving a bunch of stuff on the table. I just really believe that stuff, right? Like I think it has to be the leadership has to adopt it. Like you have to immerse yourself in it in some way, because what I keep thinking about is in the 90s, I didn't learn coding. And then anybody that was my friend that learned coding is now Cena, right? If in the 2000s, there was like this idea of like selling on eBay and stuff like that. I wish I would have figured that out and I'd be like an Amazon seller or whatever. In the 2010s, it was like who makes content and who doesn't, you would have been crushing it, right? Like now there's just no excuse to not do it. So adopting it going forward to me is the biggest thing. What did you think, man? What did you think of like my takeaways in that presentation? Because you think about the leadership piece a lot.
Yeah, I'm a little scared. And let me tell you more about that. So
Yeah.
first, if we buy into the idea that AI is a tool like any other technological change, right? Transformation, the Industrial Revolution to the invention of the computer and the World Wide Web. And we know how much more powerful AI is and how fast it's moving. If we buy into the idea that this is going to AI is going to 10x, 20x, whatever, I don't know those projections, but if we know it's going to make our team a hell of a lot more efficient, right? Everybody that we have more productive. If we know that we'll be able to go from 300 doors managed for a maintenance coordinator to 1,200, or that we won't have a leasing specialist job, but instead we might have an escalations manager, but we don't have those 3 other jobs, right? If we believe that we can become a heck of a lot more profitable, right? That's what it's coming down to. And not just competitive, right? But profitable, then every single person should be buying into the idea of they have to do something now. So here's the reason why I'm scared. I'm scared for the business owner who doesn't have the tech chops, right? But doesn't want to go find the AI who, or doesn't want to talk about it, or doesn't want to have intentionality around making the time to dedicate to move this initiative forward in their company. I'm scared for that business owner, and I just don't want to. I just don't want to see that happen, because we know how fast things are moving.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Everything else that I mentioned before was a carrot, right? Like it's like, oh, you could have done this, you could have been so much better. AI is now like a carrot and a stick. So like it's like one of those things where it's like you gotta act, right? Like you just really gotta act. I don't think you can really sleep on it. Jay, I saw you in Charleston give this workshop that you're offering in a week. I thought it was really good, man. And I know that was like 2 months ago. I'm sure you've iterated on it. Can you tell folks about this workshop that you're doing next week? Because when I hear you say, everybody, like you got to do it, right? Like I just think it's like, dude, step one, start listening to some kind of podcast about AI. Step two, sign up for a class, sign up for a workshop. I feel like this is a very low friction thing to sign up for. Can you talk about like this workshop that you got?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the point, right? It's like, how do I get from, I don't have the time, and how do I get from point A to point Z? And you need a plan, you need a roadmap. And I realize that, especially with how challenging this is to navigate and how things change so quickly. Like we were talking about leadership, my father-in-law had said, and I know this is more of a famous quote than just coming from my father-in-law, but I'll give him credit for it. Tell me who you walk with, and I'll tell you who you are, right? So it's all about surrounding yourself with the right people who are going in the direction that you want to go into. So this workshop, it's the first time that I'm doing it in a Zoom format for free, because the workshop that I had done in Charleston and the other ones, those had a monetary value to them. We charged for those workshops. This is only going to be an hour, so I condensed it. I made it shorter to respect everybody's time with an even more impactful result. So we're by the end of that workshop, you'll have a plan with your company's AI rules and guidelines that will also include, or at least have placeholders for, the tools, prompts, and use cases that you guys use AI in your company. You'll be able to know how to identify your AI who, how to have your first AI win in the next 30 days, or if you're already having AI wins, great. How to amplify those, because those get me even more jazzed. And how to identify, like we were saying before, there's a lot that we can do. Like, yeah, great. But there's only certain things that we should do. And the should do's are the things that are going to either solve a problem or move us towards the progress that we want to make in our company, and help identify that so that you can improve your client's customer journey and identify those problems to solve. So super excited to do that. I put the link in the chat here. You can go ahead and register for that. We're going to be doing that next week, and you'll walk away with the tools as well.
I think that's it, Jay. I feel like ton of value here. I thought the panels were phenomenal, man. I really, yeah, like really, really good. Really good stuff. And more than anything, I just Delia, Val, and the members of your team, right? Like I was telling you this as we were preparing today, but like the way that your team is able to like set up these virtual summits and how legit it all looks and how quickly you put it together and all that stuff. Really, really the who's that you have on your side of the on side of the thing are some really, really better who's to be
Thanks.
perfectly honest.
Thanks, man. And they're all strong women and intelligent women. We have 20 people on our team, right? There's only 3 of us that are stateside, myself, my business partner, Matthew, and Jessica Foster. The rest of our team are all remote, all over the world, very talented people that we handpicked. And I'm so proud of you guys, Delia, Val, Shu, everything that you guys do here. So thanks so much for putting this on. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you to our panelists of property managers. Thank you, Sina, Leor, Randall, Pablo. Thank you. You're a great MC. Hype man. You always keep the energy high. I love that. You ask great questions. And thank you, everybody, for showing up and being with us on this journey, moving forward, navigating through the world of AI.
We will see you in 6 months when AI has doubled in power. See y'all.